So the question a lot of people really are asking in the reform space, from what I can tell, is Nigel Farage the man? A lot of people are saying yes, a lot of people are saying no, there's a big divide. There's evidence that you would have to say probably not. There's evidence that he could literally be the most credible threat to Conservatives and Labour with reform. It's really interesting from an outside perspective, not knowing the internal workings and not knowing the people in this situation, but just kind of as an observer, Farage seems to have these issues wherever he goes. A whole bunch of people, especially now, have come out and complained about him and about the way that he runs things and the lack of delegation and the fact that he wants to be the main man. The timing of all of this is very suspicious. If you've been following this, then obviously there's been issues that have supposedly arisen in Parliament with Rupert Lowe having an altercation of some kind with a Labour minister, but that would have been dealt with in Parliament, and apparently it was dealt with. This is something that they deal with in-house when you're in the House of Commons. All of a sudden, after Rupert Lowe goes public with his criticisms of his leader, then he is referred to the police for these bullying claims, of which apparently, to the best of my knowledge, and which has been confirmed by Andrew Bridgen, it appears that it's actually not Rupert Lowe, but somebody else that they're complaining about. So again, this is quite an interesting sort of offshoot. There's many kind of tentacles and kind of pathways of this whole situation. More will come out in the wash. But going back to the question is Nigel Farage the guy, and the fact that he's had so many issues politically in terms of the inability, it seems, to get on with the party that he's in or with potential colleagues. And there's been quite a few people who've worked with him in the MEP status in the European Parliament. Been lots of people that have come out, MEPs or ex-MEPs, I should say, who have worked with him. There's been other people who have been directly involved with either UKIP or Reform. And then obviously you look back and you have the situation with there's been quite a few people that have basically been ostracised. I mean, look, for example, at Ben Habib. Ben Habib was unceremoniously kicked out. This is somebody that was a linchpin of Reform and really sort of helped to get them where they are and put them on the map. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say, well, yeah, Nigel Farage, he came in and because he's so popular and everybody knows him, and you have to have that. That's true to an extent, but you've got to have some kind of, it can't just be about popularity in terms of image and kind of, but he's the most recognisable people. There are other people, as Rupert Lowe has shown, that can rise through, and if you have a good message, you'll be able to get that message out. It does help if you're a good speaker. It does help if you do the rounds and you know the political landscape and you're media savvy. That definitely does help. But it's not to say there's not room for other people to do it. The question is especially when people are questioning, this whole, for example, the messianic kind of complex or whatever you want to call it, and then other people are questioning his ability to either delegate or kind of provide people with information that they might need to do certain aspects of whatever their role is in that party. Is he the guy? Can he bring people in that he doesn't agree with that might actually be a really useful asset? Or does he have too much of an ego? And a lot of people are saying it's his ego that is getting in the way. You've also got to balance that with the fact that Rupert Lowe, on the back of a kind of an endorsement of sorts from Elon Musk earlier on this year, I believe, saying that Nigel Farage wasn't the guy and that Rupert Lowe is the guy. And I think that's taken from an American standpoint of just seeing sound bites, and maybe the Rupert Lowe sound bites about immigration would have attracted Musk's attention, I feel. And so that maybe might have swayed him if he thought that Farage wasn't quite as strong. So maybe that was where that sort of kind of endorsement came from. So is Farage the guy? I mean, this is not something that reform supporters, activists, party members really have a great deal of say. Having looked at their online website and how to become a member and what you can do as a member, it seems that you cannot get rid of Nigel Farage. It was something like it takes something like 50% of either members or MPs that they have to kind of write letters in to try to kind of get rid of him. So is it a one-man band or is it a genuine political party? And the problem is that at what point it gets really big. I mean, say for example, they get a bunch of councillors in the local elections, and in a few years' time, they get past this and they are actually looking to be a genuine, credible threat at an election, not looking at half a dozen MPs. I don't think they're really going to get into power in the next election unless something really drastic changes. I mean, if they were looking to get maybe 250, I mean, that's a huge, huge leap in one election cycle, but just say that they did. How would he manage that? It doesn't seem like he can even manage 5 different people, 4 different people. So is Farage the right guy? Different people are good at different things. Some people are very good at certain aspects, whereas other people might be better in others. And I think that's something that he would need to really look into, really kind of think that is it me? Am I going to be this person? Am I, is it a case of he just wants to be PM no matter what, however he gets to it? Is it an ego thing? Is it a power hungry thing? Or can he actually pull people together that he might not necessarily agree with 100% on everything, but deliver a focused political party that can govern? Because it's all well and good having a party, having a few MPs, having a few great ideas, being able to say, oh, we're going to do this, and actually genuinely being able to implement them. You need infrastructure from the grassroots up, and you also need the best people in the best places and the ability to work with those people. Is Farage the guy? Personally, my own opinion, I've never really seen him as somebody that I could get behind. I like a lot of his ideas, but there's always been something about him. He was an ex-city banker, so straight away I'm a little bit kind of like, oh, okay. We come from very, very different environments. By the same token, would I necessarily say that Rupert Lowe is the best man for the job if eventually it got to the point of deciding a prime minister? He's very accomplished in business. Is he that kind of leader? I think that reform being, at the moment, 5 white dudes who are of a certain age, and I'd say that kindly, considering that they're all older than a lot of us, they might need to look into kind of getting some younger blood in and really kind of pushing that, because you need to appeal to a broad spectrum of people. And just because of youth, vigour and energy, I'm not saying you put in a bunch of 20-year-olds, for example, but they do dramatically need to lower their age at this point. But going back to it, is Farage the man? I don't think he is. I've never really thought he is, but people will gravitate to that extra kind of dimension that he provides to the uni party. So it's going to be an interesting ride. I'm going to hopefully make a bunch of videos, comment on what's going to happen, and give my 2 pennies worth for what it's worth. So yeah, we'll see.